this morning. We continue the interview series with Flagbearer aspirants ahead of the 2028 general elections. So far, we're only talking to the APC Flagbearer aspirants because SLPP, of course, President Bio has put a ban sort of on them for campaigning and slowing down. So for now, we only have the APC aspiring aspirants coming to the Wake Up Sierra Leone program. But so today, we're going to continue the series. We had Usman Timbo, lawyer Adi Macaulay, Dr. Kelfala Mara, and more of them on their plans to run for the flag bearer position of the APC party. This morning, we have been joined by Bai Mahmoud, former APC organizing secretary, who is in the studio to talk about his intention to run for the APC flag bearer position ahead of 2028 elections. We'll talk about his vision, governance, and plans, among other things. Good morning, Bai Mahmoud. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, Vivian.
Let's start with, who is Bai Mahmoud Bangura and why is he vying for the flag bearer position, obviously vying for presidency?
Thank you very much. Good morning, AYV, and good morning to viewers and listeners, Sierra Leoneans. I'm Bai Mahmoud Bangura. I'm born in Mambolo, 1980. Of course, 48 years, citizen of this country. I'm a graduate of the University of Sierra Leone Public College. Of course, I've served Sierra Leone and my political party in different capacities. I've been a student activist, a youth activist, and a youth politician, to the point of serving as the longest serving national youth president of the APC, presidential youth aide under Dr. Anes Bai Mahmoud administration, and also Minister of Youth Affairs. I recently resigned my position as National Organizing Secretary of the APC, pursuant to the Article 56 of our Constitution that requires that whosoever, as a national officer, wants to contest or vie for the flag bearer position of the party, it requires for you to resign. And that is what I fulfilled ahead of my aspiration. And of course, it clearly indicates that I want to be the flag bearer and presidential candidate of the APC 2026 ahead of the 2028 presidential elections. My aspiration is stemmed from my fundamental understanding of the challenges of our country as well as the aspiration of our people. With the situation we have in our country, it is glaring that our people are crying for change, and also they are looking for a determined leadership with pragmatic solutions to the challenges we are facing: the economic situation, bad governance, abuse of the rule of law, and all other issues that are challenging and stagnating the growth of our country, whether promoting happiness or endeavor to see a democratic best practice. And these are all issues, when you put them, we believe we need a renewed leadership. We need a determined and pragmatic solutions. We need young people that will come together to give a new definition in terms of economic growth and progress of this nation. Our history has been defined by so many odds. A situation where the political atmosphere is being defined by reprisals, ethnic rivalry, bad policies, on the willingness of the politicians or leaders taking pragmatic solutions to address the problems of our country. And this prompts some of us having the experience and also having the knowledge, understanding the situation of our country. We think this is the right time that we demand a leadership that will change the posture, that will give a new definition in terms of the governance approach in our country.
Before every election, all the candidates come forward, and when I say candidates, even from the level of those aspiring for flag bearer, they understand the problems. They communicate the problems very aptly to the public and propose solutions. Fast forward to those who get the privilege and honor of serving the people by being elected. I'm speaking now those who are elected as president or members of parliament. When you compare their time in office, the things they do versus the time when they were campaigning, you seem to see a gap. How can the people know the difference now amongst all of you vying for this position to know who to trust and who not to trust?
I believe I'm one of those they should trust.
Why?
Based on the argument, with my analysis and the literature view, there are parameters in which you judge the actions and aspirations of individuals. And sometimes you see it from what he says, what he does, and what some other people say about him. And when you put these three appreciations, you understand that I've worked in different capacities. The young people of this country can judge me during my time I served as presidential youth aide, youth president, and youth minister. I made promise of policies and determination, and I informed them of the mental preparedness in which young people should take in order to transform or address their own problems. And during my tenure, there were transformation significantly in the aspect of handling the youth issues. They can judge me from that. And today, when I say I'm going to prefer pragmatic actions, a different posture in terms of handling national issues, they will trust me. And that is why it's different from the other aspirants that we are going into this. There is no parameter in which they are going to be judged because there is no history of performance, no history of competence, and no history of landmarks in terms of their deliveries or actions over the time they've served.
During the time you served as well, fast forward to the end of your tenure in office as Minister of Youth Affairs, the commission of inquiry that was set up, your name was on the list and you were being investigated.
Yes, of course. My name was there. And we should know the situation of the commission of inquiries and a regime that's trooping, that manifested, like I say, the approach of a reprisal and that criminalized the whole regime, which perform and still the landmarks of that regime cannot be effaced. And when they come, for everybody, in fact, you only be termed as criminal when your landmarks are tangibles. And all those people who are tangible landmarks were incriminated. But of course, from the onset, as a government, as an opposition, as a party, we dismissed all the processes and procedure because the due process of the law was not followed. And that is why it's a challenge, the justice system, there's a challenge on the rule of law, and there is a clear manifestation of democratic backsliding. So all those indications and what they thought it was an investigation, it can only be defined as a witch hunt. And that's why I will continue to say there was nothing found against me. I was not found guilty of anything, and I stand as a clean character, ready and determined to take up responsibility at the highest level of the nation's development.
How determined are you?
Very prepared, and I have a wealth of experience and determined with new energies and ideas to see that we prefer new solutions, modern techniques, and of course to see an economic renaissance in order to restore governance integrity and also electoral integrity.
There are many in your party who have similar experiences. What makes you a better candidate?
I'm a better candidate, and we put in terms of political experience, I'm more experienced than any other aspirant in my political party.
Including those older than you by age who served way before you became a public servant?
Yes, because I'm the only aspirant that can talk of fulfilling, starting from the grass onto the highest level of leadership in the APC. I've served as student secretary of the party, a youth secretary of the party, a youth leader of the party, a member of the National Advisory Committee, a national organizing secretary, and acting national chairman. And none of them has achieved to that level. And coming to governance experience, I've served closely advising the presidency for several years and also a member of cabinet. So these experiences, putting them together, none of the aspirants can match up with me. That is why I stand on the better position and presenting myself as a better choice, not only for the APC, but for this country, in terms of presenting an individual or a leader who has the capacity to connect bridges, restoring integrity in governance, and also unifying this nation for us to take the next steps.
There's a lot to be done in Sierra Leone, a lot of work to do.
So many.
Why would you want to subject yourself to such a Herculean task?
Well, I have a responsibility as a citizen. And whatever that responsibility call in terms of the service of our nation, I have to make that sacrifice with determination and happiness. That's what I've been doing. I enjoy serving people. I enjoy serving country. I've never worked for a private sector in my life. My whole life has been dominated for 22 years working with the public. And I enjoy that. That's why I'm going to the highest point of it, seeing that I give my energy, my wisdom to say that I contribute to the transformation or a new definition of our nation's history.
Scholar Bayat said Africa is practicing politics of the belly. It's about what people can gain from politics. What's your philosophy? My
philosophy is selflessness. And I believe at the equitable distribution of national resources. I believe the access of opportunities should not be hindered, should not be defined by your connections, should not be defined by your ethnic belonging, it should not be defined by the region of your origin or the party you belong. I think every citizen deserves equal opportunity or access to the national resources.
These things just sound like, preparing to viva a well-written, thesis. Most times it's not practical. They are just spurious.
That's why my approach should be pragmatism. I think we should have leaders that have the mental preparedness to take a different approach in terms of addressing our problems. And I'm coming as a young, determined leader that understands the issues of this country, virtue of my experience serving the public for 22 years. I think I'll be in a better position because I've walked through the pains of poverty. I have also seen opulence. I've seen the challenges of a real African child. I walk through all those difficulties that can, maybe that can stop anybody that is not determined in terms of getting to the growth. I think I'll be in a better position to address the issues of this country because I know them.
Fabian touched on something just now, integrity, which seems to be a problem for a lot of our politicians, more specifically the young ones. A while ago, the ACC had charged you of corruption. You never defended, those accusations. You settled. One would say you were guilty.
Well, when it does not make you guilty, it means it's lawful. And the law of alternative dispute resolution preferred solutions to some problems for them to be settled rather than going to court. And with my own situation, like I say, there was a ravaging approach in terms of witch hunt. And in that, when this was a situation where you cannot determine, because of you lack the confidence about the court system, you cannot determine what will be the next step because it is not clear the approach of a government that was going after people in the opposition. So since you cannot determine, two things are very important. One, the social capital, that saving your life is very important than any other things. You can only defend yourself when you are safe. Secondly, the political capital. I am a politician, and I believe if I cannot predict the court, I prefer to settle it than going to the court.
Is this an
For
excuse
example,
to you?
It cannot be an excuse. Let me just come. If I was given the same alternative for me to pay money not to go through the hurdles of the trial during the treason, only for me to be exonerated, I would have preferred to pay than to go to prison, in which I was unable to predict. And I know what I went through, the hurdles and the pains of imprisonment.
We'll get to the treason allegations later.
And again,
we're still stuck on the ACC situation.
And just that, let me just come.
Excuse for the guilt? Because you settling signifies that you acknowledge that you did something wrong, so you're paying back.
The sack I paid for my liberty, because at the time, there is a price for all. You can pay imprisonment.
Are you saying the money was not missing under your tenure?
No, it never missing.
So why did you have to pay back?
I wanted my passport, and I wanted to go away. So if that's the case...
Why would you want to flee?
Yeah, well, not to flee, but I wanted my freedom, my social freedom.
Don't you
just
trust
to have a mental
the judiciary of the country?
Well, if you trust the judiciary at the time. These are a situation where everybody was a criminal, even when you're not.
But not everyone who was taken there. We spoke about COI, for example. You were called upon, you were exonerated.
That is the same. So I was not given the opportunity.
So why is the ACC situation different?
The treason, I was not given the opportunity. That's why I suffered 9 months, 23 days,
no, you're
only
still
to be
taking us to treason. We'll get to the treason.
Point, yeah.
We're not
so
there
that
yet.
Is why.
We're speaking of the ACC situation you had,
yes.
And you paid back money to the ACC.
I have not paid money to the ACC corresponding to missing money. That is
What's your perspective
situation.
Of what happened?
Of course, this is what I wanted you to ask. I was a minister, and there is a difference between accountability and culpability. I was a minister in the Ministry of Youth Affairs, in which some projects, of course, I work with youth in the different sector. There were about 16 or so projects, and one of it was music makers. These guys, of course, requested for assistance, and that assistance was given to them. I'm not the accountant. I'm not the permanent secretary. I am not the director. I don't deal with finances. Nothing like that. Nothing connects me to that just because I was a minister. And when those funds were not that the funds were only misappropriated, they are not. But believing that I was a minister, okay, they gave money under your tenureship as a minister to a particular group. They were supposed to buy a camera. And they implemented it a different way instead of the camera, but they utilized the money. At the same time, produce authentic receipt of their execution. So, by definition, they misappropriated. The first options, one, I should be a witness if the boys were to be charged. And the following time, no, we are going to be charged with the boys. I said, where are the evidences? No evidence. When are you going to charge? It takes, and I've been going to ACC for about 8 months, every morning, without anything to indicate that they are going to make charges. So when are you going to bring this matter to an end? The option was given, well, we cannot charge. But for us not to charge, we have to pay this so that we take an alternative. I asked, what is the implication?
As educated as you sound,
what
if
is
this was the case that there was no evidence, why did you then not push for a trial where you can have the opportunity of clearing your name than settling, which now leaves speculation to say he is guilty, he stole money. As educated as you seem.
If it is not, like I said, if it cannot make you guilty by the law, my social freedom, my political capitals was very more important than wasting my time to a system that you cannot predict what will be the next step.
Are these not the same people you were working with under the APC? It's the same judiciary. Why lost faith in them suddenly?
You don't have the alternative, because it is a government. That is why you believe we need a new dispensation, a change, so that we restore
implicitly,
justice,
what you're saying
integrity.
is that the current judiciary is corrupt? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the public lack confidence on the judiciary. So that is why we need an alternative to restore integrity.
Someone would say you lack integrity, given all what you've gone through, particularly so for the ACC case. The fact that you did settle with these people and did not contest the accusation.
It is lawful.
When
it is lawful, it does not make you criminal. When it is lawful, it does not make you criminal. It is lawful and is within the frame of the law, the Constitution.
Let's go to this treason, indictment. How come? I mean, you seem like a very decent person. Yeah. What happened?
Well, it takes you to the same thing that I was saying.
Is it the same?
You'll be associated.
This is another level.
Whether by whether by your disposition. I've been an outstanding politician, a popular politician in the country that is feared in time because of my strength. And in most cases, I've not only been in this.
Does that make a case for why you are involved in the treason trial?
Well, I was arrested.
Being popular?
Investigated.
If that were the case, then all of the popular politicians should have been indicted as well.
Well, if at all I was innocent, then arrested, I would attach my arrest to my strength, or maybe to make a case to associate our party into something that was not even practical.
How did you land yourself in the pool of suspects to be investigated?
Well, that's the question for the police. Why was I arrested? But from the onset, I believe I was innocent, and that's why also the court I was exonerated.
And it says that one of the people that were at your residence were also involved, and that person had been living under your roof for a couple of days, and you claim to say you had no idea.
Yes.
Sounds very hard to sell.
You can sleep with your partner in the room. The next morning, he does something that is not to your knowledge, because humans are complex people. So you will say all those that participated, their wives, their children, were part of it?
It sounds like a very tough story to sell, given the complexity of the situation we were in.
Well, that is the definition of the situation by you. But in criminal trials, the burden of proof lies on the court. And that's what the situation. You cannot associate somebody because of the social relationship of that person. I cannot say because a husband commits a crime, you associate it that the wife is also guilty, except there are evidences that connect the two to the accomplishment.
How did your trial end?
Well, I was exonerated.
Let's talk about Youth Farm. Under your leadership at the Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Youth Farm project was on. That led to millions. What are the tangibles? Today, as you sit here, what would you point forward to people to brag and say, these are the things I accomplished during my tenure as youth minister?
Well, so many. Of course, like I said, we had project that I succeeded. That youth in drainage. I succeeded also the youth village project, the youth farm, and I launched the National Youth Service. These are the major projects or directorates that were found in the ministry at the time. Let's come to the youth farm, the most talked about youth farm. In the first place, it was the initiative of our ministry to introduce a youth farm. We wanted to expand opportunities for the young people, and in which we identify agriculture to be a major depository in terms of creating jobs opportunities. Through a chain reaction, we see the youth farm that was located at Massalia. It was not a farm created in that place to have the produce for sale. It was a demonstration farm, like you have a factory, like you have a workshop where you train people and they will cascade the training that they have acquired in that farm for them to be self-reliant. But the understanding of them was, we have a farm where the youth are going to work after they will harvest and sell the proceeds. No, it was a training farm. We secured the land was there for us to see where youth demonstrate expertise in terms of multicultural, mixed farming, animal husbandry, etc. So, and as I'm saying, as I'm speaking here, the youth farm remained as we left it. There was no indication of readiness by the successive government to continue with that idea, brilliant idea of creating opportunities, like for the best practice we learned from Egypt, Benin, and other areas, to see that we have our people, our young people, more deployed in terms of agricultural productivity.
You say it's a brilliant idea. What was the objective of that idea?
Creating multiple job opportunities.
And did
for young people.
The project finally create multiple job opportunities?
Well, it was at a metamorphosis
because
stage.
The success or failure rate of any project is quantified by its impact.
Well, during our time, it was impactful because until the time we left, we already have domesticated the farms at district level. But I think immediately after our departure, that's the end of it, because it does not resonate with the new government's thinking about the young people.
Let's look at the youth village. What was it about? What did we gain with all that was spent on the youth village? Well,
the youth village, I don't think it was a waste, because we reached at the stage of securing the land, and the land is there, which is 1,250 acres. And the land was there determined for the construction. We were looking for funding. There was no funding. That's why when they started the investigation, they thought there was money for youth village. There was nothing. Nobody gave anything for youth village. The government secured the land, and we were going out to secure funds. Then we did not secure the funds. That is why it was a fiasco in terms of their investigation. When they brought it in the Commission of Inquiry at the ACC, they thought when it was being trumpeted, because they believe the youth village, it was like a project that does not exist. The land was there. What was required is for them to continue with the brilliant idea. The youth village was intended to have an alternative vocational institutions in which about 22 disciplines for just quick training opportunities for young people, for them to be entrepreneurs. For example, even for women, this makeup, you put them there, after 6 months, you empower them with a starting fund. They establish their institution, establish their enterprise, then they become independent. This was the intention, because practically, any government of every state will not have the capacity to employ formally all the citizens. You have to create alternative opportunities for self-reliance, at the same time for them to be, instead of seeking for jobs, let them be job creators.
Bai Mahmoud, what are your principles as a human being?
honesty, integrity, hard work, and selflessness.
Would you say you've been very honest?
Very honest.
And transparent?
That's why I've been onto this level. I would have not survived politically if I lacked honesty. Because the capital of politics is honesty and integrity.
This situation Sierra Leone is currently in, there are tons of problems, from electricity to the economy. These are amongst the most pressing challenges of people in the country. Governments in and out have not been able to successfully address these problems. What we've seen is people come and campaign to the people, or give me the opportunity, vote me into office. Fast forward to when they get into office, all we hear are excuses of what was inherited, who did what before them. It feels like it's a very challenging period for anyone to want to be president. Yet, we see people like you vying for the presidency. With all that's going on, why do you really want to become president of Sierra Leone in these times?
Yes, very important. We see the challenges, they are topical. Even our people in the market understand that the current government has failed to address the issues of the people, the aspect of energy, in the aspect of happiness, in the aspect of the economy. That is why I believe this time we need leadership with pragmatic actions, prepared mental actions, because it's only positive mental actions that will lead, positive mental thinking that will lead to positive mental actions. The energy is tailored to my thinking of an economic renaissance. And for us to have an economic renaissance, we need to have a stable population, a cohesive nation. We need a social decorum. As the current situation is characterized, it drives away foreign direct investment. You see the aspect of inflation skyrocketing, and there is a significant depreciation in the Leone. This affects the ordinary consumers. The only thing, like I earlier stated, no government has the capacity to formally employ every citizen. You create the enabling environment. And one source of major inputs that a government, any serious government that will put, you have to pay attention in terms of energy and as well as infrastructure. That is why these are issues that are going to be prioritized during my own tenure. When I become the president of Sierra Leone, I'm going to launch an energy revolution, a productivity, a diversified economic growth, to see that there is an active population participating in every aspect of the economy. But without energy, that cannot be achieved. That's why we prioritize that.
Vying for flag bearer obviously means you're vying for the presidential seat of the nation. Now, Alpha Khan, who was a former member of the APC, has said that the APC itself in 2028 wouldn't win the elections. They would continue to be in opposition. The SLPP itself, now you have people on social media saying they would make history, would be the first political party in Sierra Leone to win 3 consecutive elections. Alpha Khan, President Bio, and others are saying the same thing. 2028 would be an SLPP victory. The APC itself has its own fights. People wanting to be flag bearer, the divisions in the party, the Anisco, Ma Boys versus all the other sectors. What's your strategy in overcoming the internal political dynamics in the APC and the national issue 2028 with the promises of the SLPP that they would secure another victory?
In the first place, you don't expect SLPP to say they will not win. It's a political statement, but the reality is different. They know they are going out. They've lost the church. They've broken the promises, and they have lacked the moral foundation for continuity. They have nothing to explain. So expecting them to say they will not win, it will be disastrous. So they can say it. Let's come to the statement of Alpha Khan. It's also a statement, and to me it is an opinion. But he knows well that the APC has the capacity, and from historical perspective, the APC is the only political party and the first political party in the sub-Saharan Africa to defeat an incumbent in 1967, and we repeated it in 2007, and we are going to do it again in 2028, because the people and this country is really determined to see that there's a change. And we ensure not only a change in governance, we are going to change our approach. That brings me to the strategy. I mentioned earlier, I've worked for 22 years in the public service as a politician and also as an administrator. With all those people that are aspiring in the APC for flag bearer or leadership of the APC, I have worked with them in different capacities. They know my ability, they know my disposition of having the only capacity of uniting other people. The first thing, I have the ability to unite the APC. I have demonstrated that for far too long. I have that humility, I have that approach, and I have been a strategist for a significant period of my political, and I have never lost elections. Personally, I've won all the contests that I've gone through, and I believe when the APC makes me the flag bearer, I will beat SLPP.
When the APC makes you, what's your guarantee that the party itself, APC, would vote you as flag bearer? What's your stake in the party?
In the first place, I'm popular. Secondly, I have the institutional knowledge. Thirdly, they know I have the capacity to provide leadership. And fourthly, I can win, and they know I win.
It sounds hooliganic when you say, I'll win or I'll win.
Yes, well, the will is a, I don't think the word will is determines hooliganism. It demonstrates confidence. It demonstrates confidence, and it demonstrates determination and capacity. I don't think that defines hooliganism.
Everyone in the party says they're unifiers.
Yes, they will say they are unifiers. Nobody will say it's a divider. But you need tangibles. You need things that demonstrate to show to the people that will make you trust you, that will make them trust you, and that have shown that unifying factor in the several capacities that have held positions in my party.
You talked about evolutionalizing the energy sector when you came, if at all you would. Mm-hmm. Have you been following current energy trends in Sierra Leone and the work Dr. Yumkela has been doing in any way?
Yes, when the Ministry of Energy was handled by ministers and later handled by the Office of the President, it shows morally clear that the government has failed in its approach in handling the energy issue. And putting all factors together, it's even also compounded. Creating new institutions or bringing big names in terms of addressing the energy, that is not the solution. We need pragmatic actions. When we say we need light, we'll go about it to show how we need the light. It should not be politicized. But it should not be taken in the format of who has the largest thesis in defining what is energy. No, we need practical solutions. We need the light, our people need the light. Show us how to bring it, and you have to bring it.
The reason why I asked you whether you've been following or not is, now, we interviewed Dr. Yumkela some weeks ago, and he gave out a lot of very, very, convincing, arguments about how we could solve our energy crisis in Sierra Leone. One is Bumbuna, and we have the solar farms that are ongoing at the moment, the windmill, and all of these kinds of things. How would you fix it? Because it's the same APC that's negotiated with Qatar, and we are paying exorbitantly for that. They are criticizing your government that you made a bad deal with these people. And that's why the country is currently suffering.
Well, a bad deal, if it's a bad deal, there is a cabinet principles that a cabinet does not bind by its decisions. If they think our deal was not actually a good deal, they have the right to terminate it. But they do not have an alternative. And they don't think out of the box. They never had an energy plan. So it was better for them to stick on our own plans, improving on them, or sustaining them. With all our bad deals, as they suggested, there was sustainable energy during our tenure.
By sustainable, you mean 24 hours electricity?
No, when I say sustainable, it means it's consistent despite the punctuations. But for now, we are saying there is more blackouts than it could have light. Compared to our situation, there was more light that you talk of blackouts. That's why I talk about sustainability. I have not spoken about 24 hours. So in sustainable electricity, that was one of the defining factors that gave laurels in terms of our governance. Maybe they only needed to copy the best examples of our government rather than saying there was a bad deal. If it was a bad deal, terminate it, because our decisions are not bound by their own decisions.
Let's talk about food and the economy. This government talked about bread and butter economy. It's the new direction. What's your vision for providing adequate food?
Of course,
for
they failed.
I ask this because we've been up to this since independence. Governments have been coming and going. Your party has ruled this country for 10, 15, 20 years, but it's the same thing. What do you want to tell the people now that is different from what has been happening in the past?
That's why our economy, to the most part of it, has been dependent mostly in terms of its GDP through the mines. And forgetting that we have other alternatives, like increasing productivity in terms of agriculture, expanding agricultural produce. Instead of depending in importation, let's expand our export.
You believe in productivity?
And that is why when I come in, this will be one of my policies to increase productivity, expand in tourism, and to see that we attract foreign direct investment. And when there is an active economic exchange, the mines will not be exhausted. So that will be for now, you see, because we are highly dependent on the mining sector, you see our GDP is growing in a chameleon pace. And because there is no alternative. And look at our domestic revenue, 59% for estimatedly going to the services of debts. And 40% goes to the wage bill. 1% is the only fiscal availability to do other projects.
If you so believe in agriculture, why did the youth farm fail in the first place?
Well, did you
begun seeing the evidences then?
No, well, the youth farm failed because they failed to continue with it. During our own time, the youth farm was a topical issue. And the young people of this country appreciate the approach we wanted to take about the youth farm.
Are you saying our natural resources are not enough to feed Sierra Leoneans?
Well, we have enough.
The quantum of them
enough, but the ability to harness them. We need pragmatic approaches.
And you have this pragmatism?
And I'll provide those ones.
How?
Because, like I stated, I have the experience. I understand the issues of this country.
Is it only experience you're counting on?
Experience is one. Understanding these issues one, because solving problems, understanding this is one step. Because some of these people do not understand. I've spent my whole life in Sierra Leone. And like I said, I walked through the poverty lines. I've seen opulence, I've seen challenges. I've been a youth activist. I know when somebody says I'm hungry, I understand, because I was one of them. So that is why we need people like that, leaders that feels the pains. Like we say, he who feels it knows it. So I'll prefer solutions that will be appropriate in addressing the social problems of our people.
On the flip side to that argument you just put forward, there are other people who believe the seat of the presidency should not be given to somebody who perhaps is poor, from a poor background, because once they have an opportunity, access to state resources, the first thought is, how can I change my life and that of my relatives?
Have I stated here that I'm poor? I walked through poverty, and I told you, again, I've walked through opulence.
How rich are you?
So well, that will be determined when the time comes.
What's your net worth, if you don't mind?
Well, that will be determined when the time comes. We'll do declaration of assets. But I'm adequate.
What if you're not elected eventually? All of these plans go away.
Well, I'm ready to partner. I've worked in the government. And I think from the back, I made my contribution. And we succeeded together. I believe in the principle of collective responsibilities. These ideas I'm profiling and these solutions I'm talking about, even when I do not become the next leader or president of Sierra Leone, under the leadership of APC or whatsoever, even in the opposition, if they are prepared to learn from me, I'll give this idea because my priority is Sierra Leone. That's why I work with all individuals, all professionals. You should have the ability to bring those economists, agriculturists, and that is the wisdom we need.
Since you came in
to
this
put
morning,
all those powers.
You've painted yourself as this political messiah. What would say pride is the downfall of a man. How knowledgeable are you?
Of course, I would say my knowledge.
You said you're knowledgeable.
Yes,
but how knowledgeable?
My knowledge is adequate and enough to understand that to be a leader, you should prioritize the interests of the people.
Are you saying all of those in your party are not prioritizing the interests of the people?
I'm talking about myself, and I believe myself. I can judge myself, and I will give the opportunity to the people to judge through past performance, past demonstrations, and they will look at the future.
If you are to be judged by past performances, don't you think your, stalemate with the ACC and even the indictments for the coup would be a very serious problem for your character?
Trials. And those are trials. Historically, the definition of a strong leader is the ability for you to go through trials and overcome them. We've seen that. Even the history of this country can tell you clearly that most of the successful leaders went through challenges. For instance, let me just give you an example. Sheikh Stevens was charged for treason, detained, and after treason, he became the Prime Minister of Sierra Leone. Dr. Bai Mahmoud, in fact, Tijan Kaba, was not only accused of corruption, but also banned from taking public office, permanently banned. He later returned and became the president of Sierra Leone. Dr. Bai Mahmoud was also accused of treason and armed importation. He was imprisoned and released, and he was exonerated. He was in court until the time he became a president. We see what happened. So we have those history. When those things happen, they only make you stronger and determined. And we need leaders that are battle-tested, in which when governance challenges come, I will not see them anymore. They cannot be more challenging than going through a treason trial.
You've told us this morning that you're a very rich man. Is that sufficient for us to trust you?
Did I say I'm a rich man?
You said you were rich.
I said I've walked through opulence, I've walked through
That's
poverty.
the very reason why we asked you how rich were you.
Well,
you said you were rich.
That's why
you said you were not poor.
Yeah, yes,
and
I'm
if
adequate.
you're not poor, then you're rich.
Yes, I'm adequate. In the middle class level, you say I'm adequate. And I believe I have that financial capacity to
So
take
you're
on a campaign.
categorizing yourself as neither rich nor poor.
Yeah, the middle class.
Still lives just a thin line to get one.
Yes, philosophically, when you read the renditions of a leadership philosophy to that of the Plato philosopher King, who says, those who know should govern. And while contrary views, some say those who reach. But for Aristotle says, no man has the power to govern another. It is the law. And if it is the law, We need human that are mentally prepared, human that are determined, human that are full of honesty, integrity, and empathetic to the situation of the other. That is the determination. It should not be determined by how rich you are or how educated you are, but how pragmatic and how empathetic in terms of addressing problems of other people. And I think I'm equipped with all those qualities.
If you were the audience this morning, would you have trusted yourself listening to yourself this morning?
Of
It
course,
almost sounds quite sophisticated.
So for the facts,
Almost very hard to believe.
and that's why, because the people that are listening are practically, so many Sierra Leoneans have got a practical experience with my approach in terms of addressing national issues, because I've been in governance in the most difficult ministry, and I was able to stabilize it. I was able to unify the young people of this country. I was able to,
In what ways
to
did you unify
promote
them?
political tolerance. During my time, it is the only time we have the APIA, All Political Party Youth Association, at its aim, and it was a novelty in the sub-region, where you have a federation of political young people from different political parties coming together. And during that time, I demonstrated the leadership to show that the country is first. Political divide are only there to determine the competition in terms of expressing our willingness in which way to govern our country.
There is another problem of the politics played between the APC and the SLPP, which has left the country. Sometimes it leads to bad situations. That politics of vengeance. They did this, we have to do this. To show them we can also do it. The politics of vengeance. You have had quite an encounter. Post your service under the Alice Baiko-led administration, the COI, with your encounter with the ACC, the Treason trial. If you become flag bearer of the APC, obviously you become their presidential candidate. And if you become flag bearer and perhaps become president, how would you react to the SLPP? They're human beings there, with your history with them, what you've gone through.
One of my campaign principles that I'm letting the nation to know, I said, and when I started my statement, this was what I said. My determination, being a leader of the APC and this country, is to bring some of the odd part of history of our country, which was dominated by ethnic rivalry. I did mention that. Reprisals, I did mention that. To foster economic growth, we need building bridges for national cohesion. And to me, my approach will be different. All things that I consider to be a distraction in terms of the service of the people, I will not pay attention into them. And my determination, I will not be that leader that will encourage reprisals. I'll bring an end to reprisal. I'll bring an end to ethnicity. I'll bring an end to political patronage. These are principles in terms of my campaign. So for those on the opposite side, I know what they have done. They demonstrated an ability to unite the country. And if we are coming as unifiers, I will not countenance things that will bring unhappiness to our people. So that is why I am determined to end reprisals, ethnicity, regional divide, and political patronage.
As you've put it, still doesn't speak to your approach to those people. Well, the SLPP itself generates as a political party, and those individuals who you think perhaps were at the forefront of your persecution. How do you feel about them?
I left prison. A week later, I made a press release. And the first thing that I stated there, that I owe no grudge. Because what happened to me, one of my factors, of course, I'm a religious character. I believe what happened was divine. Otherwise, I'm somebody that liked my house. I was in my house, and that was where I was arrested, not in the club, not in the street. So what happened is divine. So I went through it. To me, for now, I think it was a journey that added a resolve to determine my readiness for leadership. So I owe no grudge in the first place against anybody, because what I went through was not a determination of individuals or a human being. It is a definition of divine interventions. So personally, I have no grudge against anybody.
There are tons of messages we've received on our Facebook page, and we would like to read out some of those messages. I'll start with Hosam Conte. He says, "Man, wake up all the youth farm money sitting here talking about presidency. What a joke."
In the first place, there was no youth farm money.
We'll just read out a bunch of them and let you respond to them. Macmillan Timothy Carter says, "Honorable Bai Mahmoud, as a former minister, you were part of a system many Sierra Leoneans believe failed them. What specific mistakes do you take responsibility for? You've spoken about change, but how can you lead that change when you were part of the old guard that contributed to our current struggles? Can you publicly address the allegations tied to your time in office, particularly around mismanagement and favoritism? What concrete actions will you take to clear your name and build trust again with the people, especially the youths who feel disillusioned?" Okay, Aluz Conte says, "We have set the bar too low in Sierra Leone to become a president. That is why people like Bai Mahmoud has the guts to vie for flag bearer."
Lolo Gasparini says, "You don't pay ACC $2 million in a settlement and not be guilty of something. Point of a settlement in cases like this is there usually enough evidence that going to trial is too risky."
Hosam Conte says, "Bai Mahmoud was part of all the illegal demonstrations, a brain behind it that led to loss of lives and properties."
Yakub Jallo, "That's hasty generalization, sir. Mr. BNB, sir, attaching that criminal case to your name, how did you feel and how did it affect your political journey?"
Mohamed El Jallo says, "Good morning, AYV. Mr. Bai Mahmoud Bangura, you said you are unified within the APC. Can you please give an example, situation wherein you have been able to unify party members? You also talked about energy revolution. Please, sir, what is your practical plan? And also, what is your stance on Bumbuna Phase 2? Talking about honesty and integrity, what is your opinion on assets declaration being made public for everyone to know?"
The Mubundu is saying, asking him about his current relationship with the former flag bearer of the APC party.
Lolo Gasparini says, "Bai Mahmoud knows deep down he's not qualified to be the president. He has never been a leader. He doesn't have command of the subject matter, and he's just not articulate enough to be the leader of the APC, talk less of ruling Salon. If APC mistake Gidis man flag bearer, na easy ride for SLPP." Okay, Aluz Conte says, "Bai Mahmoud, please stop this campaign. You are very unfit to lead our APC. APC does not need such person like you. A very minute ministry of youth, a very minute ministry of youth, you cannot run it. APC needs someone who will transform the country, not someone popular. If we need a popular person, we will make Adebayo a flag bearer."
Mohamed Soriture is saying, "The capital of politics is honesty and integrity. Indeed, you are the next president."
Sheku Brahima says, "Everyone knows the issues within the country, but for them to fix it is a problem. We need someone that has a clear mindset and corruption-free."
Dauda Issa Din Kamara is saying, "We don't want poor man for Ulwe again because we want come na power na for can thief and add on the economic problem."
Lolo Gasparini says, "I'm sorry, when a person chooses to settle out of court versus fighting it, I feel a few things. One, you did it. Two, You're doing so to make the other party sign an NDA and regain control of the party. You don't want a real investigation done. You just want, you don't want justice, you want silence.
Dauda Amara says, blackout. Are you only talking about Freetown because there is sustainable electricity in the provinces?
I would limit mine to those messages for now.
Yes, indeed, I think.
Your response to the messages?
Of course, there are repeated messages in the aspect of preparedness, readiness, and somebody mentioned also about popularity is not only a determining factor, and I mentioned that. I put down so many advantages that I have, and things that determine winning elections. One is popularity, two is competence, and three is strategy. I have the three components. And coming to qualification, somebody mentioned, I know I'm qualified, and by law, by the provision of section 41 and 76, I am qualified. I have not been convicted of any criminal offense in this country. I continue to repeat it. That should be cleared. And coming to, of course, I've been in governance, and throughout the process of me being a minister, and every year I declare my asset. And I will not go into this race without declaring my asset. I'll do it. Also, my relationship with the current flag bearers is very cordial. Most of them, my colleagues, some are my elder brothers and sisters, some are my friends, and some are my age mates. And we have transferred a lot. We have worked in different capacities together. I think it's just a matter because everybody has his own aspiration. Is thinking on the approach of creating the kind of leadership that we need to take on the SLPP. And I believe after everything will come together. And whosoever is fortunate to be the leader, all of us will follow it. And it comes to yes, an example, somebody is saying, I can be a unifier, I have the ability to unite the party. Everybody will understand, and for me to give an example, how I have demonstrated that. For several times, when I become the youth president, and the first phase, when I won the convention, I brought in all those who contested against me together and work in the same administration. And recently, we all follow the actions within the party that landed us to court. And that was the NRM saga with the APC. The center of it was around Bai Mahmoud. And when the fight was over, the chairman of the NRM was the principal anti-BMB campaigners. I was magnanimous. When we say it ended, it ended. And everybody knows I fought hard to see that in the district that I have so much influence, in the Cambia district, I ensure he became a member of parliament by securing the symbol. That is a very clear demonstration of somebody that is of a unifier nature. Otherwise, that's why when I say I don't believe in reprisals, people will believe me. Yeah, for some other concerns, we have cleared those ones. And
Okay.
yeah, somebody was saying, I'm not qualified. Of course, I've answered that one. Qualification has been determined by constitutionality, and with that, I believe I fulfill that. Thank you very much.
Let's say you are elected eventually as the party's flag bearer. for the 2028 elections, would you be able to secure a win for your party, unlike your predecessor who has had a very tough time doing so?
Well, maybe the great difference here, I'm about to test it.
Are you saying Dr. Kamara wasn't battle tested?
Well,
when he
I've not
lost
said
these
that.
elections?
I have not said that. I'm only saying I'm about to test it.
Okay.
And I can take on SLPP. When once I'm elected,
that Dr. Samoa didn't have?
Well, so many things.
Okay.
Well, I will not say about the things he do not have. I will say about the things I have. I have, to me, like I say, I have political experience, which is different from administrative experience. I have actively participated in so many aspects of putting strategies that determine election winning from 2007, 2012, etc., etc. And I know the integrities of what is required to win elections. And even most of my opponents know that. I've never lost an election that I'm personally involved. And that is why when I become a flag bearer, I will assure the APC of a winning. And in a landslide, not only a winning, but a decisive victory that will show clear a new posture of the APC.
You know, government is about continuity. If you won the 2028 election, would you take up some of these projects on the SLPP now, or turn to a completely new page in all of your reforms?
Well, reformation, like you say, reformation is characterized by continuity and also adjustment. There are good policies which we believe we can sustain and, if possible, to improve them. But where we require an overhauling, we can do it.
All right, as we try to round off now, speak to the people who are watching and listening to you right now, who are probably APC members and who are in a position to support and vote for you. Speak to them directly. Why should they choose you amongst all the options they have?
Okay, thank you very much. My APC comrades, you know, I've served the APC for 22 years. I dedicated my service to saving the life and integrity of the APC. I've never worked for any other institution rather than the APC and the government. I serve the grassroots. I have served the elders. I have served the members of parliament. I have served the councillors and every other pillar of the APC. I have demonstrated that ability to unite the APC. I have demonstrated consistency and loyalty. We need a leader that is loyal to APC. We need a leader that will stand for APC. We need a leader that will see APC winning elections. It is a factor that is affecting the livelihood of our people. As a leader, I should come as a leader also. See me as a leader that if the APC could lose elections, it should sound to me as if I'm losing everything. This is the type of leadership we should look out for. And among all those that are asking for leadership, I, Honorable Bai Mahmoud Bangura, have shown an action-oriented leadership of consistency in serving the APC. I am here, send me to win the elections for you and to change the narrative of this country and to see that we progress with the development of this nation to bring happiness, sanity, decorum, and political stability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bai Mahmoud Bangura, for being a part of Wake Up Sierra Leone this morning.